Everyone in the Imperium knows that. Among the vast, countless legions of warriors who protect them, none are as skilled, effective, or deadly as the Adeptus Astartes. These space marines, crafted from the gene seed of the Emperor's sons, are superhuman warriors, blessed with strength, speed, and unbreakable discipline. But despite their might, the Astartes are rare for the average citizen to ever see. Indeed, most Imperial citizens go their whole lives without ever laying eyes on one. And consider yourself lucky if you have not. For if your world requires their presence, then truly the threat is most grave. Ironically, though, despite being human, many Astartes view themselves as superior to the average human Imperial citizen. This doesn't mean that they detest the normal human, not usually anyway, merely that they see them as inferior, deficient, and sometimes even annoying. After all, when you stand above all others, quite often it can skew your perspective. But of the original 20 legions, one legion was renowned for its desire to connect with their basic humanity and would go out of their way to support mankind. They were the Salamanders, the sons of Vulcan, and the warriors of Nocturne. These superhuman warriors boast some of the most valiant and passionate warriors of the Astartes. With skin ink black and eyes of fiery red, the Salamanders embody the will of fire that their Primarch Vulcan left them with. They are among the most loved and adored chapters by the community, and many will claim them as their favorite. They kind of annoy me. Okay, now go, chill, don't go crazy, don't sick the Inquisition on me for heresy just yet. Hear me out, just hear me out, okay? Let me be clear first. First and foremost, I like the Salamanders. I do. I think they're an awesome chapter. I think Vulcan is an absolute awesome Primarch. I love a lot of stuff about the Salamanders and their successors. There's a great deal to like about them, you know? I'm not here to shame anyone for calling them their favorite. I wasn't shaming anyone for calling the Space Wolves their favorite. That's not what I do. I feel like I need to clarify this. I'm not here to say which chapters should or shouldn't be your favorite. I'm not here to say you can or can't like anything. I like the Salamanders. Some stuff I like. They're masters of fire-based weapons, which is awesome. They're forge masters, which is kind of cool. They make a lot of their own weapons. They're expert melee combatants, some of the best aside from the wolves and the angels themselves. They're really cool. And yes, I do like the fact that they're compassionate. I think that's awesome. Plus, they have a very unique design. The fact that they all have ink black skin and flaming red eyes. And when I say black skin, I don't mean like African American or African style skin. I mean their skin is just pitch black. You can have an Asian ethnic salamander who just has pitch black skin. It's kind of crazy, and it's kind of a cool design. You know what a salamander is going to look like with their helmet off, you know. But there's one thing about them that annoys me. Okay, there is one thing that annoys me, and I do feel like I need to share it. So brace yourself, guys, and hear me out, okay? Just please, I know you want to skewer me. I know you want to barbecue me over the flame, but please, just hear me out, okay? Let me tell you a short story about me and Warhammer, okay? This will help, all right? I was still really new to Warhammer, right? I was researching the different chapters, and that's when I discovered the Dark Angels, and I really came to like the Dark Angels. Now, being a writer and a storyteller, as I am, I began wanting to write a short story about my own Dark Angel character named Elijah. He was the only surviving member of his squad, and he was found by a village of people, and they had helped nurse him back to health. Even though he knew he had to return to his brothers and regroup, he knew that abandoning these people who saved him would leave him at the mercy of the Dark Eldar that they'd been warring against. So he stayed and fought to protect them, even risking his own life to save a child. I thought it was a super cool idea. I shared it with my friend who knew more about Warhammer than me to get his approval. He read my story concept, and he said this: I mean, it's cool, man, but you need to change the chapter this guy's from. I was kind of confused. I said, why? And this is what he said. You know, almost all the Astartes are pretty indifferent to normal humans and don't care about them. Like, at best, they're indifferent. At worst, they just hate them. If you want a compassionate Marine, you need a Salamander. But I pointed out, hold on, man, I'm not writing a Salamander. I wanted to write a Dark Angel. And he concluded with this. He said, well, look, man, it just makes more sense for a Salamander to do this kind of thing. Like, most of the other legions and chapters wouldn't do this sort of thing. And it was then that I was introduced to the issue I have with the Salamanders. They seem to have a monopoly on morality. See, I'll demonstrate. Watch this. Here's a little test. Ask someone if there are any good guys in Warhammer 40k. Most people will say no, except for the Farside Enclave, who deserve their own video, and the Salamanders. Interesting, right? Here's another one. Ask someone who their favorite chapter is, and if they say the Salamanders, ask them why. Odds are really good that they will say, dude, the Salamanders are the good guys. They actually care about people and are compassionate. Now, I'm not faulting anyone for that reason. It's true. The Salamanders are known for being compassionate and kind to the average human, risking their lives to save even small children. And that's really cool that they do that. I don't have a problem with it. But this creates an issue along the way. See, for one thing, it creates this false idea that no other Astartes can be compassionate. Like, you want a compassionate Dark Angel, Black Templar, Raven Guard, Ultramarine? Sorry, dude. They aren't Salamanders. Only the Salamanders get to be compassionate, guys. You can't, like, it's kind of like what my friend said. Dude, doesn't make sense for a Dark Angel to be compassionate. That's a Salamander thing. Now, of course, hold on, time out. I see you going to the comments. There will be those of you out there who will point out, Raven, there are plenty of compassionate Astartes in all these other chapters that you just mentioned. Yes, you're right, there are. Like, for example, 5th Captain Lazarus of the Dark Angels held a dying girl in his arms and comforted her as she passed away. And in another book, a Dark Angel's apothecary delivered an emergency C-section to save a baby when he had no reason to. Outside the Dark Angels, you have the Crimson Fist Chapter Master helping a mother and her children, making them wards of the chapter just to protect them from harm when it doesn't give them any benefit to do so. Dante of the Blood Angels has shown compassion and gentleness to normal humans throughout his story, and even though I don't like them, the Space Wolves did care enough about the people of Armageddon that they went to war with the Inquisition to protect them. Of course, the Salamanders aren't the only compassionate Marines, obviously. Of course they aren't. So, why is that the selling point? You're starting to see the issue? If everyone joins the Salamanders as I'm a Salamander fan because they're the compassionate ones, the others aren't? The others aren't compassionate? No, that whole chapter just is compassionate. That's the point. Their whole chapter is compassionate, which leads to more of an issue. Let me explain. In my opinion, it hurts the Salamanders to make them also compassionate. Consider the Dark Angels, right? So many people see the Dark Angels as evil, see them as secretive, evil, cold, and cruel bastards. That's what I hear from a lot of people. How can you like the Dark Angels? They're all so evil. They're assholes. Even in Bricky's famous video, he basically says the Dark Angels are all evil sons of bitches. And in many cases, yeah, I can't deny that. Asmodai being a prime example of a twisted and cold individual. Yeah, got it. But doesn't that make the small moments of compassion ring all the more true? It jumps out at you, right? I nearly cried when Lazarus held the dying Isentrude in her final moments. And it showed that there is still humanity in their ranks. It made them unique. It made them complex. It meant that there were unique individuals within the chapter. Some are like Asmodai, who are cold, cruel, and will burn a planet just to kill 3 fallen. But then there are others like Lazarus who take time to help other people. You know, it was funny. The chaplain who was with Lazarus, Demetrius, is one of the nicest chaplains I've read in 40k. And yet he's a Dark Angel, the evil guys, right? So there is complexity in the chapter. But if a Salamander did this, if a Salamander did what Lazarus did, well, of course he did. He's a Salamander. No one is surprised by that. You expect it. It's no less noble, but it doesn't stand out as much. It's kind of like, okay, so a Salamander helped out a helpless person. Yeah, of course they did. That's what Salamanders are supposed to do. It's different when a Dark Angel or an Ultramarine or a Raven Guard or someone else does it, because it's like, I didn't expect that. Wow. Further, it leads to a rather silly series of arguments. This is something I've actually heard. No, I'm not even joking. I've heard this from some Salamander fans. It goes something like this. Who's your favorite chapter? The Salamanders. Yours? Oh, I'm a fan of the Dark Angels. Wow, those guys are evil. Oh, okay, well, I also like the Black Templars. Wow, they're evil too. Okay, well, I like the Ultramarines. Ah, well, they've done bad stuff too. Okay, so have the Salamanders. Nah, man, they're actually good. Anything bad they've done has been completely accidental. True story, my brother, when he was buying his first box set of Black Templars, he asked a guy at the store what colors he recommended, and the guy said, oh, dude, yeah, I love the Black Templars. They're just so evil. And it surprised my brother. Like I said, there's this weird sense that all Astartes are evil when scrutinized, but the Salamanders just aren't. And this harms both the potential of the other Astartes and hurts the Salamanders as a result. It distracts people from many other aspects about the Salamanders that could be celebrated or even considered. It makes out all other legions and chapters to be less morally speaking and creates this almost irritating sense of self-righteous superiority from Salamander fans. Now, again, I'm not aware that all, I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware that not all fans are like this. But there are times where the Salamander fans behave in an almost smug, superior manner that flies in the face of the very nature of their favorite chapter. They hold their good guy status above other legions and fans. Again, I know this is not all fans, but I have had it happen Especially when I reveal I'm a Dark Angels fan. Let me tell you guys real quick, if you are a Dark Angels fan like me, I guarantee you have dealt with people saying, why do you support the evil bastards? Okay? I don't think they are, but you get that. Lots of people say that. I think they're complex, but okay. In my humble opinion, so let me point this out. In my humble opinion, what makes Warhammer 40k so fascinating is the fact that it is a grim, dark setting, but with small glimmers of hope and compassion. They're rare, but when you find them, they shine out all the more because of the darkness you are so used to seeing. When enemies show mercy to one another, when forgiveness is offered to a sinner, when kindness is dispensed at the expense of one's own benefit, these things stand out. That's why the small moments with the Crimson Fists, the Lamenters, the Dark Angels, the Ultramarines, even the Space Wolves, are all moments I can appreciate and enjoy. The Salamanders should do the same for me, but because they are lauded as the good guys, who are always expected to be compassionate and good and kind-hearted, who the community holds up on a pedestal as the most goody of good guys, well, I still appreciate what they do, but it doesn't impress me nearly as much. And that annoys me. I just get so tired of hearing everyone say, my favorite chapter is the Salamanders because they're the good guys of Warhammer. It's annoying at this point, especially when you realize that some of the Salamanders do make mistakes. Like, there was this running joke for a long time that the Salamanders show up on a planet to protect it. We're here to protect you. Yay! Burns the planet to the ground accidentally. Because that was kind of a joke. They would accidentally burn everything that they were trying to protect. Because, again, pyromaniacs. I always thought that was kind of funny. That was kind of comical. But as time has gone on, it's kind of dove more and more and more into the Salamanders just being these super good guys. And I'm kind of like, look, I don't hate the Salamanders. I like the Salamanders. Their motif is cool. I like dragons. I like the fire weaponry. The color scheme is really cool. Vulcan is an absolute G. And if you're wondering why I don't talk about the Primarchs much in these videos, I'll talk about them in another video. Okay, I'll talk about the Primarchs in other videos. Right now I'm focusing on the chapters. But guys, it really does annoy me because I feel like I want to hear someone, if I say, hey, who's your favorite chapter? And they say the Salamanders, I want them to say more than just they're the good guys. I want them to talk about their fire-based weaponry. I want them to talk about some of their chapter creed, like some of the things their chapter believes. I want to talk about how I want to hear them talk about Vulcan. I want to hear them talk about the unique aspects of their forge work. You know, I want to hear them talk about other things. It's fine to like them for their compassion. That's fine. I like them for their compassion. But my issue is, again, one, it takes away, if you have a monopoly on morality, this is what I said on a stream the other night, if you have a monopoly on morality, what it does is it hurts your own faction because it no longer makes a big deal when you do something moral, and it also takes away from other factions because you just assume they're all lesser in morality. What I think is cool about when a Crimson Fist or Dark Angel or Raven Guard or whoever does something good when you don't expect it, it shows their chapter is complex. When you hold the Salamanders up to that, when you expect all of them to be compassionate, well, it's not really as awesome. There's a famous phrase, the more of something you have, the less value it can accrue. That's an economic principle. If you have more of something, then it isn't as valuable. Less of something is more valuable. So think about it like this. If you take all the Dark Angels, and there's only, one company, let's say Fifth Company is the only company of Dark Angels who are really compassionate. Well, that's rare, man. That's rare. That's not something you're going to find all over the Dark Angels, so that makes it more valuable when you see it from the Dark Angels. Now hold up the Salamanders. If all of them are just the compassionate chapter, then when you see something compassionate done by them, okay, but they were Salamanders. What did you expect? You know, that's kind of how I look at it. So let me be clear one more time before you guys crucify me. I like the Salamanders. I think they are cool, but I like them for reasons beyond just they're the good guys. I think the big problem I have with the Salamanders is they have created a moral monopoly among the chapters, which is sad because there are other compassionate people in the Warhammer setting. There is more compassion in the chapters than we're seeing, and it does get really annoying when we just generalize and say all Salamanders are compassionate, all Iron Hands are evil, all this, all that. I like to see some complexity come to the Salamanders. That's what I'm saying. Or at least, at the very least, if you're not going to do that, fans of the Salamanders, find something else to praise them for. I'm just saying. And I'm sure someone's going to hit me up in the comments saying the obvious. Well, man, the compassion is what draws them in, and then they learn more about the Salamanders. Absolutely. I can understand that. Yeah, you want to join in the Warhammer 40k hobby, and you want to find the good guys, so you go to the Salamanders, and they're obviously the good guys, so you can latch onto them and learn more about them. Okay, but that does deprive the other factions and other chapters of any attention. Just saying. But anyway, I think I'll wrap up there. I just wanted to give my thoughts on the Salamanders. Again, I don't hate them. I like them, but I hope you guys can now understand why they can annoy me sometimes. I think that we should celebrate the Salamanders for far more than being the goody two-shoes among goodies. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what I say. I'm going to be killed on a cross regardless. Anyway, thank you guys so much. If you don't hear from me, it means that the Salamander fans all ganged up on me and burned me alive. Azrael, please get me out of here. Thank you guys so much. I will see you in my next video. Take care.